All right. Well, I guess we're gonna test out the sound or whatever. You want to test it out for me?
Test out the sound.
Yeah, because I'm live right now. Just check me out on
Oh,
YouTube.
oh,
Right, and let's turn that down over there. So, anyways, today's kind of like a vlog. Guess let me change this or whatever. So it's kind of like a vlog or whatever. Just a few things that I had to say. So yesterday, I wasted an entire day talking to a dumbass, and I have no idea why I did it. Um, but I guess it was some things that had to been said. So you guys probably don't know me in this way, but I really like apps. You guys already know it because Andrew always looks at my apps and laughs or whatever. But I like apps or whatever, and so I did a review on the app, and then somebody sent me a private message. One of the dudes that was selling the app, because it didn't, it wasn't like a bad review. It was fair, but I did voice the like realness. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I did voice the realness of whatever was going on with it. So, um, he said that man, I wish that you would have given a better review. Basically, in the beginning, you talked about the negative points and just all kind of shit. Basically, I would have been hurting his money because he knew I had some influence over people that have applications. So, anyways, the dude kind of went in and I asked him to leave me alone. I asked him to leave me alone. So I just finally just went in on him. I wasted all day yesterday doing this, right? And yesterday kind of was celebrating. I closed a huge deal for my company, and it's $25,000 deal, which is really good. So I bought a new iPhone 10. Now I haven't bought a new phone since the iPhone 5. The glass is cracked on it. It looks like shit, and I just wouldn't buy a new phone because, like, man, every time I turn around, iPhone is coming out with a new phone. I'm just gonna wait. So I made that little money, but not only that, I just made some other little side money, and I actually made the cash in one day to buy this phone. Now the iPhone cost me 1,300 euros. It's about $1,600, right? So it wasn't like let me just go buy a fucking phone. It's like a house note, right? So I bought the new phone, and then I had all this negative shit happening all around me, and I asked myself, why did I spend my time with this? Because I couldn't. Because usually I'll just tell somebody to fuck off on the internet, right? But I couldn't figure out why couldn't I just leave this alone? Why did I have to keep talking to this guy? And I came to the conclusion, and my wife said, well, it's your reputation. It's your rep. And it's right. It's my rep. On the internet, man, and when you're marketing, here's the thing. And I've said this before, and I'm always want to give you a lesson and not just kind of talk about a story about my life, but you have to stand up for something. You have to stand on your square, right? And these newbie marketers, there's a couple of people that just got into the game, and they're trying to be influencers, but they want to keep everybody happy. I don't do that. I stand on one side or the other. Either you have to stand for, like, for instance, we're talking about applications, productivity applications, or the consumer. I stood up for the consumer. That's who I stand for. Why? Because I'm a consumer. Because I love applications and productivity apps. You can tell by looking at all the shit that I have. Listen, these are all the apps that I own, that I buy them and I actually use them in my business. So I said, I want to stand up for the consumer. And the reason why I did that was because I noticed that everybody else was trying to be friends with the creators of the applications, and they wanted to try to make a win-win situation because they saw money, right? But what they don't realize is that you have to stand up on one side and don't budge. And that's what I did yesterday. And even though he was trying to get me to budge, then what I did is I sent out the screenshot showing that he wanted me to change my review or say something nice. And it totally buried this other guy. Buried him. Literally. Buried him. And it, instead of my credibility being in question, because I forced the issue, instead of my credibility being in question, now his is in question. So he loses influence. And that wasn't my intention. I asked him time and time again to leave it alone. And then finally, I had to like just attack the dude. And I don't even like doing that anymore. But to be honest with you, my mouthpiece is wicked. It's probably, there's only one other person on the planet that has a more wicked mouthpiece than mine. And I'm going to say, and I believe this, and it's Farrakhan. Farrakhan is the only one that I've seen that I would be scared to talk to. I've never met a man that if I got on his bad side to hear what he would have to say, Farrakhan would rip me to shreds. He's wicked, man. But other than that, like, if you just listen to me talk, if I'm angry, dude, I can tear into you, right? So, basically, man, the message for this is you have to stand up for something. You have to stand up on one side. I've said this a million times, and people don't get what I mean by that. Especially when you're talking about influence. If you're talking about getting on YouTube and being an influencer, and I said this before, and I'll say it again, this is why Donald Trump won the election. I'm amazed that Donald Trump, man, every time I look at the TV, I still cannot get over the fact that, like, President Trump, I'm like, Jesus, really? It's that one thing, though. He stood up and stood his ground. He didn't budge. He didn't waver. He stayed on course with his core following, right? This is who I'm going to stand up for, and this is it, and I'm not going to move. I'm going to build a wall, you know, Mexicans are bad, and whatever else he was saying, right? And he stood on top of that. You have to stand up on one side and don't budge. And what did that do for my credibility yesterday when I spent all this time? I spent an entire day. Did it give me some type of influence or credibility? Yeah, it did. Because I didn't budge. And I didn't even mean for it to happen that way. But it's what happens when you do stand up. The reason why I was angry was because people are bringing bullshit to the market. People are selling the future roadmaps. It's crap. And we are spending our money on this shit with, based upon these promises. So no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to tell you that the app is garbage, and if it's garbage, and not to buy it, or the app is cool, or don't buy the roadmap. Can it function for you today? Don't buy the future. And people get pissed off about that because I'm pretty sure I'm stopping some sales. But here's the thing. What happens when I bring an app to market? Right? It's a byproduct. So no, I don't get any money for reviews. No, I don't get any money if I down an app. I don't get any money for that. But what happens when I bring an app to market? If I put it on my channel, people trust it. If I put it in my group, people trust it. If I tell you about it, you trust it. If Sonny says that this is a good app, it must be good. Some people have said, man, Sonny will make me spend money and then save me money all at the same time. Because they have a love-hate relationship with me. Because if I say something's good, they're like, fuck, now I got to go buy it. Right? Because Sonny put a seal of on it. That's the kind of credibility you want in your niche. Whatever it is your niche is, people need to say about you, this is what I want to be. I want to be the guy that everybody says, if this person has his hand in it, then it must be good. The next thing I want to talk about is I finally saw the Black Panther movie, right? So it's exactly what I thought. It had absolutely nothing to do about racism. They actually saved a white boy. I think he probably been the only white boy in the damn movie, though. I can't remember.
There was a few bad white people.
Oh yeah, there were a few bad white guys, and there was the one white guy that got shot. That the dude shot at the airplane, right? Oh, I'm telling the movie. But anyways, there was only a few white guys in there, but there was no racism involved. They actually saved this guy's life. There was a discussion that happened to say, hey, whether or not they should save his life, but it had absolutely nothing to do with him being white. It happened because I think he could have been a spy or some shit like that or whatever, right? But whatever it was no racism going on in the movie. The movie was all about black people, Africans, in this make-believe African country with super. It was basically Iron Man, kind of like an Iron Man for African or Black African Americans, right? It was cool, and of course, white people must be angry because there was no white hero. Even the villains were black. It was kind of cool. So it's exactly what I thought. It's just white people mad because they couldn't have the floor. Get over yourselves. So actually, the movie was really good. But a friend of mine told me, he's like, nah, it wasn't like, an Oscar award winner. But I beg to differ with that. I think there was some good acting in there. Whether or not they do it or not, the soundtrack was bomb. The effects were nice. So I think they should be, and I think the directing was good, right? And the cast was awesome. So I think somebody should be up for an Oscar for that. It won so much money. I'm pretty sure it will be. But it wasn't like life changing, like a life changing type movie. But it was a very, it did what it was supposed to: a high grossing, mass appeal, superhero. And this guy figured it out. How can black people have, their X-Men, their Transformers, how can we have that? What's up, man? How can we have that for our people? And he did a really good job with it. I did. Because that's a franchise movie, and I hope he does it again. They always talk about number 2. There's room for number 2, and he should. It's a very good movie. It should be just as good as the X-Men franchise, or what is that franchise? To the Fast and the Furious franchise. Any of that shit. It's the Transformers franchise. It should be good as any of that. I really enjoyed the movie. And white people just have to be mad. I'm pretty sure they'll include more white folks in the next version of it, which, I don't think they should, but okay. There's a few things I think this is going to do, though, man. People say that black people, don't get the same, credibility as white folks might get at times, but this movie will do that for black actors, right? Black actors, man, bring in the money. This just shows it, and almost all black cast. The whole movie was about a positive thing about Africa. It wasn't a slave movie. Finally, right? That's winning Oscars. It was just an action movie with an all black cast, black directors, or whatever. And now it shows that we can bring in the money like anybody else, right? It doesn't have to be the dude that plays Tony Stark or whatever. It could be an all-star cast of, African Americans, and they did a good job, man. So I think this is going to be a big day for actors. I think their paydays are going to go up. I think black directors won't get ignored anymore, and actors can bring in the paper, right? So, so yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They told dude, say one more word and I'll feed you to my children. But I like the joke though. He goes, he's like, nah, we're vegetarians. That shit was hot. But yeah, man, it was a good flick. I really enjoyed it. And it's what I thought it was. I hadn't seen it first, and I was, like, oh, it's racism. It's like, no. It's like, it's reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism. And it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. It's just white folks mad because they couldn't get the show. They couldn't, stand on the floor. So the next thing I want to talk about, man, because even though I know this is a vlog, right? Like right now, like this is a vlog. I'm gonna start doing more of these. I actually got a new iPhone, the iPhone 10. So I'm gonna start filming myself, and even if it's just me sitting in my car or whatever, doing these little vlogs, kind of like getting my thought process off or whatever, because it's my channel. It's what I want to do, and if you guys can dig it, you can dig it. But I want to talk about this really quickly. I saw this the other day, and I thought about how we don't think about anything but Facebook. Everything is around Facebook. This is a chat bot, but for SMSs. And it's a total studio, so you can kind of drag and drop things, right? And make an entire flow. If you can draw it, you can make an entire flow. And it's basically logic. If this, then that, right? So If you do this, then answer with that. If they give you a bad answer, answer with this. If the answer contains any of these words, then say this, right? So you just need to sit around and think about the logic about what people would do, right? So this one is about an order for a latte on through SMS, right? And you can see the order of how people can call in and order with their mobile phone on SMS, and you just need to have the right answers, right? So, um, what you would want to do is try to find out what do people normally say when they order a coffee, right? And what's the most popular coffees that they order, and then build the SMS bot with that, right? But think about this though, right? While everybody's approaching people to do business on Facebook or whatever, what about an SMS bot? What if your agency just did SMS bots for, let's just say you did one for Starbucks, and all you did was coffee houses or boutique hotels or something like that, and people could order online? Or what if you just did like a travel bot that answered questions about the latest flights that went wherever else in the world, and available hotels on hotel.com, and your ability to actually book through text messaging, and then give you a reminder about excuse me, when your booking is coming up and when your flight is coming and being late and stuff like that. If there's any delays in your flight, then it's send you an SMS or whatever, right? I just gave you like $1 million business right there, because that's what it is. Think about this, man, that there is no real estate. B&B, Airbnb owns no real estate, man, maybe except their offices, right? They don't own any real estate. Amazon, except for now, they just bought stores, but they don't own any stores, right? So think about that for a moment, right? So everything is like kind of some type of service, or Uber doesn't own a car, right? It's a trip, man. These giant businesses are built without assets by pooling together resources, and this kind of peer network, right? So how could you do that with an SMS bot? How could we make a peer network like this, right? How could we make this work for ourselves, to make something? Think outside the box, right? So I started thinking, like, how could I build an SMS bot? This is what the flow looks like, and it's called the Twilio Studio. Now I have Twilio, and it's, man, their documentation is some of the best I've ever seen, and everybody knows how to mess with an API. So it's not like you can't find a coder to do this. I had a guy code me up, where I could send out SMSs from my email little provider, and I think I paid him $600 for everything. He built me an entire back end on a tire back end for it, a whole little admin area, and I spent like $600 on everything, right? So to have somebody code up this bot, even if you had them code it up and make an SMS bot work, this is an actual drag and drop though. It's like if you can't do this, and you can't do anything, but this, you can do this yourself. But maybe you wanted to attach it to something like an email service or something like that, right? Having somebody code it up wouldn't cost you but a few $100s. You're not talking about a $10,000 type of thing. Think about this. How about an agency just for SMS chatbots? Now, this is what I will tell you. I get here in France. Now, France is always behind. I want to just keep that clear. That I get SMSs all the time for receipts. Then when I spend money with a like I buy fishing equipment online, and I buy like my little yeah, just mostly fishing equipment, right? And they'll send me receipts, but they'll also send me sales. The telephone company themselves, it's called Bouygues Telecom, will send me stuff like, hey man, we're having a huge promotion. One time they just sent me like 50 gigabytes a month. They upgraded my account. Usually I was only going to get like 10 or 20 gigabytes a month of data for my internet. And they're like, hey dude, you're just upgraded to 50 gigabytes. Just text us back with this, right? So approaching somebody with something like this that definitely works. People do pay attention to their SMSs. I do. I don't ignore a text message, right? You're going to look at a text message. You might ignore a phone call, but a text message, you're like, what is this, right? So think about the approach on that. And I want you to just think outside the box. Here's another thing that I want to talk to you about really quickly. I want you to forget about Facebook, man, when you're thinking about business ideas or something you can do. Um, I think Facebook has a lot of people clouded, right? I think Facebook and sometimes, I mean, not even Google, right? We don't even think about Google ads anymore, right? So like, the other day I was talking to a client, and he was like, "Yeah, I use Google AdWords. I don't use Facebook." And I was like, "Damn, people forget all about it. I'm guilty of this too. I totally forget about Google, or totally forget about other ad networks, or I totally forget about anything else. Because we're Facebook everything because we're always on Facebook, right? Like I even have a tab open right now, right, on Facebook. So what I want you to do when you're thinking about business and different business ideas, you should already be in business, but if you're not in business, start thinking outside the box. Start thinking away from Facebook sometimes, right? Companies are being inundated with Facebook everything, right? Everything is Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. So if you can approach them with a different idea, like my idea for my professional service has absolutely nothing to do with Facebook. Facebook is a part of the service for retargeting ads, right? I always say, listen, we got to retarget them on Facebook and Google or LinkedIn if it's a B2B, like if it's a business that does B2B work, right? So you say LinkedIn, we'll do retargeting ad campaign, but the main marketing campaign has absolutely nothing to do with Facebook, nothing, and it's working because I'm not pitching the same shit that everybody else is pitching, right? So I don't want you to go out there pitching Facebook all the time. Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. Stop pitching that thing, man, because everybody's pitching it like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and really it's not. It's cool, but it's starting to get like people are getting numb to advertisements on Facebook. It's starting to get that whole like ad fatigue on Facebook. So start thinking about other ways that you can service a company besides Facebook. And I thought this was an excellent example with a chatbot, an SMS chatbot, right? A texting chatbot. I thought was cool, and you do have logic here, right? So as long as you have logic, so he made a barista here, right? So this is an example order, and if you watch this video, it's actually on YouTube as well. But if you watch this video, he's gonna build the entire thing, right? He's gonna ask questions and kind of show you how it works. The one thing that's really cool, right? And here's, excuse me, here's the thing that's really cool about Twilio. The documentation is crazy. Twilio documentation is totally crazy. So if you just sit down and start playing with it, and it's free to play with it, if you just sit down and start playing with it and start to get the understanding about the documentation or whatever, and trying to play around with whatever you can do with this, especially the studio because it's just drag and drop, you'll have a whole new niche in your hands that nobody else is paying attention to. All right. So just think about that, and it's free to learn this. You don't have to buy a book or anything. You see, they have plenty of guides and tutorials. This is a website for their documentation, right? So this is all like if you just want to do SMS. It also has voice functions, right? So if you wanted to start a blasting software, you can do that, right? And here are the different languages that you can use it for: C++, Java, Node.js, PHP, or whatever. So it starts to get into like programming languages. Now I just did some research myself on what programming language would be easiest to learn. And Python and Ruby are the two languages that are really easy to learn. Java and all these others are really kind of complicated, especially the C pound or hashtag, whatever you want to call it. It was C++ or something, but it's something else now. But Python and Ruby are the two easiest to learn. So, I mean, seriously, I'm not telling you to go be a coder, but what I am telling you, though, is learn enough code to program these SMSs. PHP should be easy to learn as well, but PHP is not as fast as these other languages or whatever. So even if you want to get a front end done, you can go to a guy. I just went to a guy. He's right here, as a matter of fact. This guy, he's doing the front end of software for me, right? So, and all he's doing is just the front end part of it, and it's called React, and it's just like HTML, right? And then after he does that, another guy will be doing the actual like guts of it. Well, you could do the guts part of it and have somebody else do the actual front end of the application. But you see, they have tons of tutorials here on how to do different things. And then, like, this would be like an SMS tutorial. So, appointment reminders, conference and broadcasting, SMS and MMS notifications, Twilio, man, is a really hidden gem. So here's chat, call tracking, IVR phone trees or whatever. That's like, press one, press two if you do this, press three if you want to do that, right? So you can totally do like a total IVR. Twilio is really cool, dude. Seriously. So I really would suggest that if you're stuck on a business idea, to come over here and take a look. Start doing some of their tutorials. Just start playing around a little bit, and I guarantee you're going to find a business out of this. You guys can thank me later. All right, man. So basically, that's all I had for you guys today. That's it, man. I wanted to just talk about my day, my new iPhone 10. I'm really happy. I've been working out for 21 days straight without stopping. My days off are just not working out as long. I'm up to an hour workout a day. My goal is to go to 2 hours. I cut out all my sugar. Um, I'm losing weight like crazy. It's melting off of me or whatever, but I feel a lot better, a lot more energy, and I'm just creating good habits, man. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. I'll see you guys.